So, wanted to talk about the whole situation with Stephen Thompson and him showing up but not getting paid the show money. So, let's take a look at the retrospective. So, he was about to fight Michel Pereira. They agreed upon the welterweight limit of 170 pounds. So, Stephen Thompson showed up. He did everything that he was supposed to do. He did all his media obligations, right? He showed up on the scale and he weighed at the limit. He made weight for what was contracted, the bout was contracted to. On the other hand, his opponent did not. He weighed 3 pounds over. So it was 174 pounds. Sorry, 171 is the limit when it's not a title fight. Championship weight would be 170, but Stephen Thompson, I believe, made 170 pounds weight, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, he made weight for the bout. His opponent weighed 174 pounds, so he was 3 pounds over the limit. So he had a choice. Will you fight? Do you accept your opponent as is? In having said so, he will also take a chunk of his purse. Now, I think it's like 15, 20, 25% at most purse in this scenario because he missed 3 pounds. Would have been probably more if he missed more. But on the other hand, the win purse. So he would take 15, let's say he takes 20% of the win purse. Now, the win purse for Michel Pereira probably is not that much as big. It's not as big, probably not as big as Stephen Thompson's purse. So therefore, he would probably get, like, let's say something in the range of, like, we're talking $20,000, $30,000. Right. His show money, it seems like it was revealed that it's $250,000. So if he shows up, no matter what, Stephen Thompson will get $250,000, $250,000. However, and if he won, yeah, he would have gotten 30, let's say 30,000 on top, right? Which would bring it to 280,000. So pretty much a very high risk, low reward in that case. So I understand Stephen Thompson completely because previously, a couple of years ago, he fought Darren Till, I believe that was the case, where Darren Till missed weight. They fought, it was a close fight, and Stephen Thompson lost the fight. So he didn't want another scenario like that. And, you know, he has every right. He did all he had to do. You know, he was preparing for this had a camp, preparing for a couple of months. He came to the venue. He did all the media obligations. Came down to the scale, he made weight. His opponent did not. So he did not fulfill the contract. There's no fight. He can reject the fight, the proposed fight, with the opponent being heavier and having an advantage being more fresher in the fight itself. So UFC in return then offered him a different fight. Of course, they did not disclose who that fighter would be. Obviously, it would have been a short notice fight, right? You're accepting somebody that you didn't prepare for the last couple of months. He was preparing for Michel Pereira. So it could have been another mismatch, another disadvantage. Could have been, well, Shavkat Rakhmonov, right? I'm pretty sure that guy's ready to fight at any time. And he's one tough opponent, right? So, yeah, Stephen Thompson then rejected that. Or maybe they also offered him, okay, you don't have to fight now. You'll fight in a couple of weeks, you know, the next pay-per-view. But that means he will have to cut weight in 2 to 3 weeks again, which I think would bring him to a disadvantage towards his opponent. Sure, it would be, he prepared longer probably than the opponent. Maybe he did not. Maybe he would be going against an opponent that's ready 24/7, right? All year around. Like guys like Colby Covington who keep a healthy weight and train all year. You have plenty of guys like that. Not everybody just waits for the camp to train. So either way, point being is that Stephen Thompson didn't do anything wrong. That is true. However, so Dana White came out, they asked him about it. He was on vacation when this all happened in Salt Lake City. He was in Italy on vacation. And I heard he also gambled. He brought a casino onto his yacht. I heard that through Joe Rogan. So, yeah, fun vacation for him. Anyhow, so he came back. They asked him this question now when the Contender Series was happening in the Power Slap earlier this week. And he just said, you don't get paid not to fight. Even though in this case, Stephen Thompson didn't anything wrong. He wanted a fight as he signed the contract. I will fight Michel Pereira at 171-pound limit. His opponent backed out of the contract, right? He did not fulfill the contract, so he wasn't, therefore, he had a right to reject it. But how Dana worded it was he kind of threw slander in him in a way, like, hey, we offered an alternative option. He did not accept. He did not accept the second alternative, and therefore, why would he deserve any show money? Now, I do disagree with that. I do agree that I think, if not the whole entire show money, he should be not just cover for the camp, which eventually Dana White said behind the scenes. They're having the conversation, and they will take care of him as far as, with his words, as far as the camp, at least the expenses of the camp that he had in the last couple of months. But then again, he would still not get paid for anything, right? He wasted a couple of months just to train for free. That's pretty much the summary. Anyway, so Dana White said that, and he said, we don't do that by contract. And that is true. To the UFC and Dana White's defense, it is in the contract. If you do not fight, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, if your opponent doesn't miss weight, if you do not fight, you don't get paid the show money. Now, it's in the contract, right? This is something that the fighters, and I know there's a lot of things that should be covered, as far as contracts, as far as fighters and their rights. I feel like there should be a lot of improvements in that field. Definitely some also medical coverage, if not insurance, some kind of compensation in that sense as well. I'm sure they take care of them behind the scenes, but I think it should be officially mandatory where they have to take care of it by contract, a certain amount for this and for that, whatever it is, right? But then again, somebody needs to represent the fighters, somebody needs to push this agenda, and the fighters need to also stand up for themselves in these contracts and try to put these terms inside the contract, negotiate better. Have managers do it, not them, of course. That's why you pay a manager to do that for you. So, in the defense, like I said, in the defense of the UFC and Dana White, it was not in the contract, so it's not a surprise. It's not like we're all caught off guard. Oh my God, the UFC did not fulfill their contractual obligations. No, they're never supposed to pay. They never did it before. We had also the case of, I believe it was, from what I remember, there was probably multiple cases, but we had, what's his name? Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. That fight got canceled 5 times. And 1, 2, 3 of those times, I think that one of the guys showed up, did everything they could. The opponent got injured or did not make weight. I think Khabib had once, he was about to go on the scale, but the doctors pulled him back before it even happened for health reasons. So in that case, I think Tony Ferguson did get paid, right? Maybe they also, like in this case, will just cover the cost of his camp, right? But it never happened. So it's not news. It's not a surprise. I understand it's popular to, throw slander at Dana White and the UFC for underpaying the fighters. And whenever there's an opportunity like this, jabs will be thrown, right? I'm not surprised about that either, right? But like I said, it's messed up. I think Stephen Thompson deserves more, especially being his age, working for that company for such a long time. And I truly hope they do take care of him better than they would for anybody else, because he deserves it. He's really a nice guy. He's always been there. Now, yeah, sure, lately he's been a little bit more demanding. I don't want to fight grapplers. I want to fight exclusively strikers, right? But yeah, he's still a very, very nice guy. And I hope it works out for him well. And for the future, I think fighters should definitely protect themselves more in the contract. They should hire better lawyers, better managers, somebody that will take care of them. So let me know what you guys think. I'm sure the majority will go against Dana White. I believe so, but I might be wrong. There might be some people that think that, you know what, Stephen Thompson signed that dotted line and he accepted these terms, where if your opponent doesn't make weight, you don't accept the fight. It is what it is. They tried their best to find him a fight. He did not agree to an alternative, and that's where it ends. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Who's his next opponent? Ultimately, who will it be? And will it be Kamaru Usman? Will that fight be scheduled? Then of course, and I think in this case, like Kamaru needs to prepare, and now Stephen Thompson cutting weight for the second time in a short amount of period would bring him to a big disadvantage. As we remember, just a quick reminder, So Tony Ferguson, right? Everybody says Tony was never the same after the Justin Gaethje fight. Now, I think a lot of people forget or did not even know that Tony Ferguson, prior to that fight, he cut weight twice. He cut weight twice. So he was supposed to fight. So Tony Ferguson was actually, if I'm not mistaken, that was the 5th or the 6th time. I think that was the 5th time that Khabib was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. COVID happened. Khabib was stuck in Russia. That fight was off the books. Fight Island was not active just yet. If Fight Island was a thing, they would have made the fight in Fight Island. Right after that, Dana decided, I think, okay, let's make Fight Island and we'll keep it. It will be a thing. And it still is a thing. It seems like every October now it's going to be an annual thing. But anyways, getting sidetracked. So Tony Ferguson was supposed to fight Khabib. Tony was on his 12-win streak, right? He was going to be the guy to beat Khabib. However, that got canceled, for better or for worse. At this point, I think we can all agree that Khabib would have probably beat Tony. But yes, at that moment, that was a 50-50 chance. There was a lot of people thinking that, maybe even including myself, I can't remember at the time, that while Khabib would still be a favorite, Tony had a pretty good chance of taking him out rather than anybody else on the roster at that time. So, anyways, so Tony ended up fighting Justin Gaethje. Tony cut weight for the Khabib fight. Then he proceeded, he didn't cut weight on a scale. He actually filmed himself cutting weight at home. So he made a video, he cut weight at home to prove how tough he is, how he was ready, and your opponent, Khabib, was not. He bailed out. And then fast forward a couple of weeks later, he cut weight again. Now, officially this time for the Justin Gaethje fight. Now, I'm not saying that is the sole reason why Tony lost, but I'm pretty sure it impacted him. Cutting weight is no joke. Cutting weight twice in a matter of a couple of weeks will definitely bring an impact on your performance, on how you feel, your body. It's not healthy. It's definitely not a normal thing to do. And you doing it twice in a short amount of time, I think that's recipe for disaster. So Tony then was never the same after that fight. He lost badly. And who knows if we could repeat history, right? What would have happened if he didn't cut weight twice? Would have been better. But I still think Justin Gaethje would have won that fight. So to that point, I do understand where Stephen Thompson is coming from, not wanting to cut weight probably in a short amount of time right after this. So yeah, hopefully he gets a good lead time for the next fight. He can prepare once again and gets compensated for the previous camp. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.